Hello, Miss Alexandra Franzen. Thank you for joining CtheG TV. I'm so glad you're here.
I am so happy to be here.
Yes. Thank you. Well, I just want to dig right in because I think you are one of the greatest people in business and in my personal life. I think you really own what you do and you don't excuse it. I really appreciate that about you. So I want to start with just asking you if you could talk a little bit about what it is you do and why it makes your heart sing.
Yes, I can talk about that. So what I do, I'm a writer. And what that means is many, many things. I write really bad poetry for my own amusement. I write books, and I have 2 books coming out this year with 2 different publishers. Holla! And most of the time, I'm writing for myself. I write on my blog, and I write pretty spectacular marketing and business copy for entrepreneurs as well. But really, I write to inspire greater heights of self-expression. And that's what I'm about.
Wow.
Franzen.com.
I love it. I love that you know what you do and why you do it and why it makes your heart sing. And that you use that talent. Oh, you are helpful. Thank you. Yes. I need that deck for all of my other interviews.
Yes.
Or it could just be we were talking before we started recording. I'll just share it with everyone that we were thinking about doing this whole interview through her not even answering, just holding up a card for each of her answers. So that might happen. It could happen. So before you claimed this space in the world, what were you doing before that? And what happened where you had that shift and you said, I'm going to move into claim my own space and do this for real in the world? What happened? What were you doing?
For real. Well, many things happened. I was born. I went to elementary school. I won an apple pie baking contest. I got into college. I dropped out of college. I traveled the world. I got my helicopter pilot's license, et cetera, et cetera. But really, I've always been a writer. And I think all of us have sort of quirks and talents and abilities that are pretty evident from a young age. Whether we choose to make them the crux of a career or not doesn't really matter. But for me, I've always written songs, poetry, plays, mini operas, journalism articles, what you name it, I have dabbled in it. And what happened after I graduated from college and went into the real world is I felt like I really needed to get a job. Like I felt that would give me this like oomph and credibility and authority as a real grown-up. So I got a real grown-up job. And I worked in public broadcasting. And part of that job involved writing. There was writing, there was technical writing, there were different pieces of that. But ultimately the job was not fitting my heart, and it wasn't allowing me to be me. And even though I am patient, I quickly lost patience with that lifestyle. Really for no other reason than that I was very unhappy. I decided to start my own business and hang up my shingle and stride out into the world and try to make a go of it as a writer for hire, as a freelance brain, as a professional me. And it was hard. It was really hard, especially for the first year. But this is a roundabout way of saying, I didn't actually decide to be great. Or at least I didn't think that's what was happening. Mm-hmm. I just decided that I didn't want a job. And everything sort of flowed from that decision. Ultimately, I realized that I did have some pretty amazing gifts, and they were really valuable and useful to people, and there was much more to what I was doing in the world aside from just writing and copy and language and communication. And so then I started to think about myself in terms of how can I be great? How can I make an impact? What is this really about? But for really the first several years of my business, it was just, how can I not work in a cubicle again? Yeah. that was poor motivation, I'm sorry to say.
Did you take the leap? I mean, was it just like one day you left and then, or was it a gradual thing where you were getting clients on the side and then leaving? What was that about?
Yeah. Well, I've always kind of been like a side hustler. Like I've always had a little something going on the side. Even in college, like I was always the one working like 6 different random weird jobs, and usually some of them involved writing and some of them didn't. But while I was working full time in radio, I always had a little bit of like a side gig going on. I was doing resumes, cover letters, a little bit of copywriting, just kind of keeping the pot brewing. And then the process for me anyway was in, I think it was December of 2009, which feels like a lifetime ago, I talked to my boss, who happily I had a very, very good relationship with. He was a pretty fantastic guy. And I basically told him, I was probably crying at the time, I can't remember, but I basically told him, I'm going to be leaving. I don't know exactly what I'm doing next. I'm pretty sure it's going to involve writing. I'd love to have a 4-month window to gracefully transition out of my position and help train in my replacement.
Wow.
And he said, sounds great. Let's do it.
I love that.
So it was, yeah. And, I didn't know how he was going to respond. He could have said, hell no, hand in your 2 weeks notice like everybody else and, see ya.
Yeah.
But because of the relationship we had, and I think because of the way that I asked, I wasn't asking for a favor. I wasn't asking for him to take pity on me. I wasn't even really asking for help. It was more just, this is where I'm at. This is what I'd like to do. I'd like to make this effortless and graceful and easy for both of us. And can you celebrate with me as I'm going on to this next journey of my life? And that's exactly what happened. I had a beautiful 4-month window where I was able to ramp up my business and freelance projects while simultaneously ramping down my commitment and my hours at the job. And then on my last day of work, which was April Fool's Day, they threw me a party with cupcakes that were flavored with rose water, and I cried and cried and got hugs, and it was incredible. It was like the best possible send-off in the world. Because I invited that, because I think, anyway, I invited it, or I just got really, really lucky. It's probably I'm lucky.
I think that is the best story ever about somebody telling somebody just what it is that they desire, really, and then allowing them to give you the answer if that works for them or not, because it can be, it can hold people in a holding pattern, I think, when you're not sure how to tell the boss.
Oh yeah, and sometimes the boss is yourself, right?
Yeah.
And you have to tell the boss that you need a vacation, or you have to tell the boss that you need a raise, or you need to tell the boss that this whole job, this gig, this business, it's not working for you anymore. So it's important to have those conversations with other people, but when you're an entrepreneur, you're often having inner conversations with yourself, with your boss.
I'm doing that right now, but we'll talk about that later. But yes, I thought I was one thing, but now I think I'm another. And it is about claiming that and just trying it and seeing what happens.
Totally. Hey, boss, can I have new business cards? Because I think my title has changed.
Yeah.
Is that cool?
Yeah, totally. Exactly. Hey, we just have to point out that we're wearing the same outfit.
We totally are. It was an accident. Ooh. And similar colored jewelry. Check it.
Ooh, check it.
We're so vibing. I just have to say, I'm in such a woo-woo mood today, and I apologize, except not at all, because it's awesome to talk to you, Catherine the Great TV show viewers. Like, I've got my manifestation cards. It's all happening. So tune in to the wave.
I've got my sage burning and my candles burning on my altar, so hey, man, kumbaya over here.
Kumbaya, indeed. It is amazing, though, how, I think running your own business is a spiritual experience. It forces you to grow and evolve at an accelerated pace just to kind of keep up with yourself.
Yeah.
And I mean, 3 years ago, if you had told me that I was going to be sitting in my apartment with manifestation cards, chatting with Catherine the Great while wearing like locally sourced wood earrings and fresh from a yoga class, I would have said, you are on 6 kinds of peyote and no thank you. But amazing things happen when you, in the words of my dear friend Dyana Valentine, when you decide to be great.
Yes.
It's like your whole universe shifts around you.
Yes, that is a nice segue for my next question, because One of the things that I notice over and over again when I'm teaching or when I'm taking a class online is a chatter from myself and others around not being enough, not having the right whatever, not being talented, not being whatever it is that I'm not. And what I find is that when I point out people's talent, what I see is their greatness, it's easy for them to discount it, disregard it, or say it's not that big of a deal. And I think it should be flipped. And that's why this TV show was created, to really have a platform for people to claim their greatness, declare it. And just, when I, even calling my TV show Catherine the Great or CtheG TV, there was a bit of vulnerability in like saying that, because it's scary. There's some fear around like rejection of like, oh my God, who does she think she is? And I think that keeps a lot of us from actually stepping into a higher version of our genius. I think we all have it. And so what I'm wanting to know and what I'd like for you to say to me, and you did say it in the beginning, and I'm wondering if we could just talk about it again because it's juicy, but I would like you to declare your greatness. What is it? Your personality, your talents, your gifts, what is it? Do it. Go.
Okay, I'm great, you're great, we're all great, we're all nothing and everything, and we're all made out of actual stars. How crazy is that? And we have this like capacity to live for 100 years, which is just like so much time, except it's like a sliver of time. And it's that smallness and bigness and humbleness and greatness, and we're all walking around with all of that contained in these like fleshy bodies all the time. And it's amazing. And you are a writer, even if you don't think you are, because that email you just wrote, that made you a writer. Mm-hmm. And you are a speaker, even if you don't think you are, because you've said hello to someone today and you made an impact on them. And we all have this capacity to affect people just by smiling. How crazy is that? And our pheromones and everything radiating from us, we're so great. I'm great. You're great. It's great. The world is great. And it's not perfect, and there's disasters and horror, and yet we're still great. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Is that good?
But I would say that you are great because you allow yourself to vibrate on that higher plane. Like maybe you have those questions in your head, like, am I good? Was that good? But you do it anyway. Like, that makes you great. That's what I think. And maybe you don't step forward in some places in your life, and that's great too. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I just see people that have a story about being small, and that's their lot in life. And I don't see that in you. And that's what I think is really inspiring. And I think, well, if she can do it, I can do it. And that's really, I love that you own that you're a talented writer, and that what you do is valuable. You said it in the beginning, and I think, God damn, she knows it,
Can I tell you a quick story?
Yes, please.
That's, how we all have like teachers that we discover at just the moment that we need to learn that lesson that they've learned the hard way so we can learn it the easy way,
yes.
Yada, yada, yada. Okay, so one of my spiritual teachers, and I'm not kidding, is Dan Savage, who writes the sex column Savage Love. It's like in all the alternative newspapers all over the country. He's a writer, he's a speaker, he's incredible. And it was about 10 years ago, almost exactly to the day, that he had a column where somebody had written in, and they were, I think, an older-ish person, maybe in their 60s or early 70s, and they were in a relationship with someone that was much younger than them. Not like 18 younger, but like, they were maybe 30 or 40. And they wrote in, and they were really concerned, and they said, I'm so much older than my partner, I feel like that must be wrong. Like, I feel like I must be taking advantage of them, or like, surely this is wrong. Tell me this is wrong, right? And Dan Savage wrote the following. He said, when you're in a relationship with someone, regardless of age difference, power difference, money difference, whatever difference, your job as a human being is to leave that person in better condition than you found them. And I was like gobsmacked by the simplicity yet profundity of that idea. So whatever relationship I'm in, romantic, business, friend, whatever, only job, regardless of whatever the context of the relationship is is to leave that person in better condition than I found them. And that idea like burrowed into my brain. And I realized that being a great human being, it's as simple as leaving the people you connect with and the planet in better condition than you found it. That's all you have to do. And you can do that on a small, intimate, beautiful, tiny scale, or you can do it on a big-ass Oprah scale. But it doesn't matter as long as you're leaving that positive impact. How great is that? It's that easy.
That gave me goosebumps all over my head.
Thanks, Dan Savage.
Yes, thank you, Dan Savage, sex columnist guy.
I love it.
And I've heard you say that before, and I love it, actually. And it made me think about, when I'm angry or when I'm feeling like I need to push through with my business and, like, take no, prisoners. And I'm, like, in that mode of, like, hunting and gathering and killing. What that actually is doing just because I have a vision to move my business forward. What am I actually trailing behind me and around me, like the wreckage? And I love that question. I think it's beautiful. And it really does come down to that we all are great. And it's not about, paparazzi waiting for us outside the door. That doesn't mean that we're somehow better than somebody who doesn't. It's about how we treat each other. I love that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Can I ask a fun mystery question?
Mystery question? Yes.
For all of the viewers. So I wrote about this recently on my website, and I love this question, and I want to ask it TV style.
Woo!
It's not really a question. Well, it's kind of a question. It's more of like a setup. So this is the setup. For all of you who are wondering, am I great? Or if you're like, yeah, I know I'm great, but how? What is my greatness? What is the exact flavor of my awesomeness? This question might help you figure it out.
Go.
So imagine that you wake up in the morning and there's like this beautiful envelope just kind of tucked under your door from a mysterious benefactor. And you like untie the ribbon and you open the envelope and there's a letter. It's handwritten from your mysterious benefactor. And he or she says, hey, here's a check for $3,000. I want to spend a weekend with you. I don't care what we do. I don't care where we go. I don't care if we sit cross-legged in a lotus position or if we climb a mountain or if we spend it writing or whatever. The only thing I'm asking for is that by the end of this weekend together, you've helped me solve a problem, any problem, and you've left me in noticeably better condition than when you found me. So that's it. $3,000, mysterious benefactor, a weekend to fill however you want, and all you have to do is make sure that this person is able to solve a problem that they couldn't solve before, and that they're in better condition than when they met you.
Yes.
Yes. So then the question is, what are you going to do? How are you going to fill this weekend? What's the schedule? What's the agenda? What are you going to do with them? How are you going to play?
Oh.
You answer that question, it's like you immediately distill your greatness in words, in stories, in like almost a workshop agenda. And it's so much fun to dream up what that might look like. So there's a question for you to consider.
I love it.
Ones.
Thank you, wise one.
It's fun. Plus, mysterious benefactors are the hottest, right? We all want
Is it Robert Downey Jr.?
who would my mysterious benefactor be? I mean, in my dreams, it would be like RuPaul. But in reality, it would probably be like some really cool, like up-and-coming social entrepreneur who's like secretly a poet or something like that.
Like me.
Like
come
you.
over. I'm going to come over and give you $3,000 and see what happens.
You can say. Probably we'll just have massages for like 48 hours.
Yes, please.
I'll just give the check to my massage therapist and be like, just keep going till we run out.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm looking at the time, and I know that you have a busy schedule today, so I don't want to disrespect it. And so I think that's a perfect place to end, where people are thinking about how they would help solve the problem in one way over the weekend, or in several ways. I don't know. Hey, man, heart shape.
I love you, sweetheart.
I love
and
you
thank you
too.
for having me on your TV show. And thank you, everyone watching. And thank you, Mr. Rogers and RuPaul and Dyana Valentine and Dan Savage and all of the people in my life who inspire me to be great. That is all.
Thank you.